Hello, welcome back to Constituent Marking with Fred Long on Proof Text. I am Fred Long and I'm sitting outside in sunny Arizona right now. So if you hear some birds or strange sounds, it's not my fault. Okay, so we're going to pick up here with First Thessalonians 2:1. All right. Av tu gar idete. So I single underline the of tu. I see a gar, I put a box around it. It's a connector, and then I see an idete. I cut off that ending, and I recognize that second plural. This is from ida, which means I know. It's historically, it's actually a perfect tense verb form, and it uses alpha endings, which is kind of interesting because that looks like more like a first aorist, but it is classified as a second aorist. But here we see an of tu at the front. Now it receives a single underline. What's interesting about this is it's the third person personal pronoun. And what is it doing with the second plural verb? Well, this is actually an intensifier of the subject. It would be translated something like, you yourselves know. Now here there's an option that Paul could have used, which would have been umis. And I don't know that I know the answer to the difference between those two options. And that's I think, a worthwhile exploration. So, does umis, that would be a redundant personal pronoun, subject pronoun, but of tu here is an intensifying pronoun use right now. So, and sometimes you can actually pile both of those up. You can have the umis and the of tu. If you want to see an example of that in the singular, look at 2 Corinthians 10:1. I know that one off the top of my head. But there are other places where this does occur, where they both kind of occur, both those types of pronouns. Okay, so this is rather marked discourse. There's some stress there. Then I see a vocative, adelphi, which is brothers or siblings. So there's definitely a transition taking place. The gar is marking plus strengthening. For you yourselves know, brothers or siblings. And what do they know? Well, they're knowing tain is odon emon, our inroad. So tain is odon is actually a first declension noun. That's why it has a feminine article ending. I know it looks kind of odd, but that's because odos, and here is odos are grammatically feminine. So it looks like the article doesn't match, but indeed it does, is odon. And I don't know what the rule is on that in the history of the language, other than geographic places tend to be feminine, but you can find all kinds of exceptions. But yeah, that would be a question for someone else to answer at this point. So is odon emon. It's kind of a nice rhyming with that. You can hear that. And then you have a tain, pros of umas. Now this is kind of interesting because that tain there, what that is doing, and I'll mark it also with a pink highlight there, the tain is working with the first tain to put this into what's called the second attributive position. Put what into the second attributive position? Well, the pros umas, that prepositional phrase, is a modifier, and it's being put into the second attributive position so that we know really clearly that it's modifying is odon, although I don't think that you would have needed it to be real clear. So I don't think you would have needed it. This second attributive adjectival position is, in my books, a more marked construction to stress that attribute. What it does is it it takes up more space, that repeats the tain. It also allows the modifier here, pros umas, which is a prepositional phrase. It allows that to be put into like the last word, the last thing in the mental conception that kind of sticks then with understanding the inroad. The inroad. Now, I think Paul has already mentioned the inroad that he had. So what's being stressed is the inroad with you, pros umas. So not just to you, but with you, pros indicating proximity. And then you have an OT clause, which comes next. So OT, now this is setting up a content clause. And OT, we can put a box around it. It is indeed a connector of content. And here it is actually working, what we'd call it, ep-x, if I can spell it correctly, I'm not going to be, ep-x, I did it wrong. Did I ever tell you I'm bad at spelling? So ep-exegetical, there we go. Ep-exegetical OT, which what that means is it's filling out the content of is odon. So is odon is given more content as what's found in the OT clause. And what's found in the OT clause is a negative adverb, kene yegonen, which is a yegonen is both of those get single underlines, kene yegonen, which is a perfect active indicative from third singular from yenome, to become. And then kene is a feminine adjective, here predicate adjective, working with going back to is odon, so it's feminine. So namely, this final clause is that it did not happen in vain. That is, our inroads with you, our association, our welcome to you, with you. So it didn't result in being vain. And that the reason why is because, so there's some stress here because this is a perfect tense form that is indicating or marking grammatically the resultant effect. And so there's been an ongoing resultant effect that the faith of the Thessalonians has not been in vain, which is, that the inroad that Paul and associates had was not in vain. All right, well, that's how I'd mark up this verse, and hope you find that helpful. Look forward to having you watch and listen next time. Take care.